Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something pretty controversial in the wasteland. A real design paradox.
Oh, yeah. What's on the slab today?
We are tackling the weapon that people seem to both love, from a design perspective anyway, and absolutely despise with a burning passion.
Uh, you gotta be talking about the Fallout 4 pipe gun, the bane of many a Soul survivor's existence.
Exactly. It's this weird thing, right? You hear people saying it's groundbreaking conceptual design, totally fits the lore.
And then in the next breath, they're calling it absolute garbage, monumentally ugly, the worst possible loot drop. Just pure gamer rage fuel.
It really is. So that's our mission today. Let's really dig into this. Why does this rusty piece of plumbing generate so much hate, but also why might it secretly be kind of brilliant?
Okay, yeah. We need to unpack both sides. The lore argument versus the practical reality of finding your 10th one in an hour.
Was it genius world building or just Bethesda being lazy with the loot table? Let's figure it out.
And we can't understate the frustration here. It's not a minor gripe for a lot of players. Killing, like, a legendary Mirelurk queen and getting a standard pipe pistol,
Yeah,
it feels insulting.
totally. So let's break it down. First, why the concept itself is pretty damn smart. Then, why the actual implementation in the game makes people want to throw their controllers. Okay, so let's start with the defense. Why do these things even need to exist in the Fallout world?
Well, think about it. It's 200 years after the bombs fell.
Yeah.
2 centuries. That's a hell of a long time for stuff to break down, rust away, get used up, or hoarded.
Right, you wouldn't expect pristine pre-war assault rifles just lying around every corner. That makes no sense.
Exactly. Stuff like laser rifles, Gauss rifles, even decent combat rifles. Those would be incredibly rare, either broken beyond repair or clutched tightly by the big factions, the Brotherhood, the Institute, maybe the Gunners. They'd have the resources to maintain them.
But your average raider, or some farmer trying to protect their patch of mutt fruit, they're not going to stumble across an armory.
No way. They're going to find scrap metal, plumbing parts, bits of wood, duct tape, and they're going to have to make do. That's where the pipe gun concept is, honestly, pretty brilliant.
It's the ultimate DIY weapon, born out of pure necessity.
It totally is. It's what the have-nots would realistically be using. Cobbled together from whatever crap they can scavenge from ruined houses, busted factories, the most common materials imaginable.
And this isn't just some wacky video game idea, right? There's a real-world basis for this kind of improvised firearm.
Oh, absolutely. Sources draw parallels to things like zip guns or the kinds of makeshift weapons you see in like real-world conflict zones or even among criminal elements where proper guns are hard to get.
Cheap, simple, untraceable, get the job done, barely.
Exactly. If you can find a pipe, a nail, maybe a strong rubber band, you can theoretically make something that fires a projectile. The Fallout 4 versions are obviously a bit more complex than the absolute crudest examples, but the principle holds. Low-tech solutions for high-stakes survival.
And there's that often missed bit of lore that actually grounds these things before the war, too, which I think is fascinating.
Yeah, that's a really neat detail. One of the Guns and Bullets magazines you can find actually mentions pipe guns being known as street guns of Detroit before the Great War.
Seriously, so they were already a thing.
Yep. Illegal, underground firearms, probably used by gangs, criminals, maybe desperate folks for self-defense even back then. Simple, disposable, off the books.
Huh. So finding one in a pre-war safe isn't necessarily a mistake or lazy placement by Bethesda. It could have been someone's hidden illegal piece.
Precisely. It gives them a bit more historical weight within the Fallout universe than just stuff raiders made after the bombs. Adds a layer some people miss when they complain about finding them in old ruins.
Okay, so the concept of a scrap gun isn't totally new. I think Fallout 2 had a pipe rifle, right? Just a single-shot thing?
It did, yeah. A very basic, single-shot pipe rifle. Kind of clunky.
So why is the Fallout 4 version considered like a leap forward or progressive design if the core idea existed?
Scale and modularity. That's the key difference. Fallout 4 didn't just give us one pipe gun. It gave us a whole system built around scrap.
Right, the 3 main types.
Huh.
The standard pistol auto one, the bolt action, and the revolver.
Exactly. All using that same fundamental pipe and wood aesthetic, but covering different roles. And critically, they made this system incredibly moddable right from the start of the game.
Okay, let's push back on that a bit, though. Yeah, they're moddable, but so are lots of guns. I find a hunting rifle pretty early, or a combat shotgun. Those are super customizable, too. Why is the pipe gun's versatility such a big deal when it's, well, weaker?
Fair point.
Yeah.
It is weaker overall. But the groundbreaking part isn't just the modding itself, it's when and how you can mod it and the ammo it uses.
Okay, expand on that.
First, the timing. You can take that basic pipe pistol you find practically falling out of the sky in the first hour, and without needing any high-level perks like gun nut, you can slap on different barrels, stocks, receivers.
Turn it into a rifle, an automatic, a makeshift sniper.
Yeah, all with just basic junk you find lying around. Screws, steel, adhesive. You don't need rank 3 science or a high-tech workbench. No other weapon platform gives you that level of immediate, dirt-cheap customization and roll flexibility right at level 1 or 2.
Okay, I see that. So accessibility is key. You can tailor it to your playstyle instantly, even if the result isn't amazing damage-wise.
Exactly. And then there's the stealth aspect, which is huge for a lot of players.
Ah, the suppressor.
The suppressor. The pipe gun is, by far, the easiest and earliest weapon you can get silenced. You can often buy a suppressed pipe gun from Trudy at Drumlin Diner or Arturo in Diamond City very, very early on.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that.
And that's huge. It gives a stealth character a silenced option, maybe even a makeshift silenced sniper rifle, way before you have the perks needed to craft a suppressor for, say, the 10mm pistol or a hunting rifle. That usually needs gun net rank 3, which takes a while to get.
Okay, yeah, that's actually a massive advantage early on, especially if you're playing on survival difficulty where staying hidden is life or death.
Totally. It's a specific, undeniable early game niche where the pipe gun shines purely because of accessibility. And then there's the ammo.
Oh god, the .38 rounds, you drown in them.
You absolutely drown in them.
Yeah.
It's probably the most common ammo type in the entire Commonwealth. It's so plentiful that, like, higher-level characters almost stop thinking of it as ammo and more like junk caps, a secondary currency.
Yeah, pretty much.
And because it's so cheap and everywhere, the pipe gun, even a heavily modded automatic one, becomes this super reliable, low-cost workhorse.
Yeah.
You can clear out entire raider camps spraying .38 rounds without feeling bad about wasting expensive ammo like .45s, .308s, or fusion cells.
So it lets you save your good ammo for the tough stuff, super mutants, death claws.
Precisely. The sheer volume of .38 ammo ensures the pipe weapon always has some kind of practical use, even if it's just for clearing low-level trash mobs without dipping into your valuable reserves. It maintains a sliver of utility, purely based on its ammo economy, deep into the game.
All right. You've made a solid case for the concept. Lore-friendly, check. Adaptable early, check. Cheap to run, double check. But now, let's get real. Let's talk about why people hate this thing.
Okay, yeah, now we pivot to the execution, because this is where that brilliant concept slams face first into the brick wall of game mechanics and player frustration.
And the number one complaint, the one you hear over and over, it's just, they're everywhere. The oversaturation is suffocating.
It's the damn leveled lists. That's the core technical reason. Pipe guns are weighted so heavily in the loot tables, especially early on, but the real kicker is they never really stop appearing.
Right. That's the thing. You're level 50, level 70. You've just taken down some absolute bullet sponge monster in the glowing sea, maybe a legendary albino red scorpion or something.
Your heart's pounding. You're thinking, yes, what awesome loot did I get?
And you walk over, and glittering on the corpse is another damn pipe pistol. Maybe this one has a slightly longer barrel. Whoop-de-doo.
It's crushing. It actively kills the excitement of finding loot. Players describe it turning potentially thrilling moments into just, ooh, more script fodder. It genuinely leads to looting burnout.
Yeah, you start to just ignore bodies or containers because the expectation shifts from maybe something cool to probably just another pipe gun or some pipe gun ammo. You literally start caring less about a core part of the game loop.
And it breaks immersion later on too, doesn't it? You see these high-level raiders like veterans or whatever, decked out in heavy combat armor, maybe even carrying missile launchers.
Yeah, and their sidearm is still
A crappy pipe revolver.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. How do they get that armor? How do they maintain that launcher? But they can't find or afford even a basic 10mm pistol or a beat-up laser rifle.
It feels inconsistent. And what about Diamond City, the big safe hub?
The guards there, supposedly the main defense for the Great Green Jewel, facing down super mutants, raiders, probably worse things wander in. And what are most of them carrying? Pipe guns and baseball bats.
Yeah, it doesn't exactly scream well-defended settlement, does it? More like, please raid us, we're barely armed.
It just stretches credulity way too far, especially at higher levels, when the world is supposed to be getting more dangerous and presumably better equipped.
And compounding all this is the fact that the guns you get right at the start are often just better.
Way better, usually. That 10mm pistol you get in Vault 111, it's a beast early on. Reliable, accurate enough, good damage, easily moddable later. And you find double-barrel shotguns almost immediately, too, which hit like a truck up close.
So within the first hour or two, you likely have weapons that outperform even a reasonably modded pipe gun.
Pretty much, yeah. Sources are clear. The 10 millimeters in the shotgun just perform better right out of the gate. So the pipe gun becomes obsolete almost instantly from a pure combat perspective. Unless you're deliberately handicapping yourself for role play or you're really struggling for 10 millimeter ammo, which is rare early on.
Okay, let's dig into the nuts and bolts now. The gunsplaining, as the outline called it. Because this is where people who know anything about firearms start pulling their hair out.
Oh boy. Yeah. Look, Fallout gets a pass on a lot of unrealistic stuff. Energy weapons, mutants, physics-defying power armor. Fine. But the pipe gun's mechanics seem to push people's suspension of disbelief too far.
So what's the first big issue? Just how they look and feel.
Well, part of it is the homogeneity. Think back to Fallout 3. You had weak guns, sure, like the .32 pistol or the Chinese pistol, but they looked distinct, they felt different. Fallout 4 gives you 3 main pipe variants, but they're all built from the same ugly pile of scrap.
The standard one, the bolt action, the revolver, they all share that same rusty pipe, splintery wood stock look.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even though they can chamber different ammo types, .38, .3808, .45, they mostly feel the same to use, barring the bolt action's slow firing rate. The visual design just feels kind of lazy, like they made one asset and just tweaked it slightly for the variants.
Especially compared to the creativity you see in the rest of the game's weapon designs.
Right. And then there are the actual mechanical impossibilities, how these things are supposed to function.
Okay, hit me. What's the big one?
The standard pipe guns magazine, the one that sticks out the side usually.
Yeah, it looks kind of weird but distinctive.
It defies all logic from an engineering standpoint. Think about how a bullet gets from the magazine into the chamber to be fired. On that gun, the magazine sits below the chamber and off to the side. To get around from there, up and then into the chamber reliably, requires a pretty complex lifter and feeder mechanism.
Something precise.
Very precise.
Yeah.
The kind of thing that needs careful machining and calibration. The idea that some raider could just hammer that together perfectly from random scrap metal and rusty springs, it's absurd. It would jam constantly, if it even fed at all.
So the improvised nature should demand a simpler design.
Absolutely. A muzzle loader, maybe? Or a super simple break-action single shot. Something dead easy to make work. Not a relatively complex semi-auto or full-auto blowback action fed from a janky side mag.
Okay, so the basic operation is suspect. What else?
The ammo pressure. This is the big one that makes gun guys rage. These things are visibly made of crudely welded bits of, well, pipe. Plumbing pipe, probably not even properly treated gun steel.
Right, looks like it came from under sink.
Exactly. And there's no sign of proper barrel rifling for accuracy or a strong locking mechanism for the bolt or chamber to contain the explosion when the gun fires.
Okay, so firing a low-power round like .38 might maybe work?
Maybe. Even that's pushing it.
Uh-huh.
But the game lets you modify these things to fire much more powerful high-pressure rounds. You can make a pipe gun fire .45 ACP. You can convert the bolt action to fire .308 Winchester, a powerful rifle round. Or even
.50 caliber conversion.
the .50 cal,
Mm-hmm.
a massive, incredibly high-pressure round designed for heavy sniper rifles and machine guns. Firing that out of a gun made of welded scrap pipe.
What would happen in reality?
Boom! Catastrophic failure. The gun would literally explode in the shooter's hands, violently. The pressure would shred that cheap pipe instantly.
So, the game letting you scale its damage by chambering these rounds completely breaks the established material science of the weapon itself.
Totally. It's a massive consistency flaw. You can't say, this is a junk weapon made of plumbing parts, and then have it safely handle ammo that would challenge even properly manufactured firearms. It shatters immersion for anyone who stops to think about it for 2 seconds.
And even setting aside the mechanical absurdity, let's be honest, they're just plain ugly, aren't they?
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
Monumentally shit, as one source eloquently put it. They just look bad. There's none of that cool, functional, necessity is the mother of invention aesthetic you see in makeshift weapons in other games, like the Metro series, for example.
Yeah, those Metro guns look dangerous and cobbled together, but also kind of ingenious and cool.
Right. These just look rusty and sad. Splintery wood, brown textures everywhere. There's no visual flair, no sign of craftsmanship,
Yeah.
even in the higher tier mods.
That's a good point. Why don't the mods make them look better? If I'm a master gunsmith with maxed out perks, why does my ultimate pipe rifle still look like I fished it out of a sewer?
Exactly. Why can't high-level mods use, like, polished stainless steel tubing, maybe a sturdy composite stock I salvaged? Make it look like a professionally made weapon built from scrap, reflecting my skill, instead of perpetually looking like tetanus waiting to happen.
The lack of cosmetic variety just feeds that feeling of, yeah, laziness. Like they just didn't want to invest the art resources into the Commonwealth's most common gun. Okay, so ugly, mechanically impossible, instantly outclassed, and frustratingly common. Sound like a total design failure, right?
On the surface, absolutely. It ticks all the boxes for bad weapon design. But here's the twist, the really interesting part.
Go on.
Sources strongly argue that the pipe gun's perceived brokenness isn't an accident. It's not a mistake. It's actually a deliberate, maybe even critical, feature of Fallout 4's overall design.
Wait, what? How can being that bad be a feature?
We need to look beyond the gun itself and think about the bigger picture. The Fallout 4 economy, the crafting system, the settlement building, and just how damn long the game is designed to be played.
Right, you mentioned the completion time ratio earlier. Remind us of those numbers again.
Okay, so if you compare the time to just beat the main story versus the time to, like, 100% the game, do all the side quests, explore everything, build settlements.
Yeah.
Older Fallout games, like 1 and 2, had ratios maybe around 1.1 or 3.5. Manageable post-game, Fallout 3 was pushing it, maybe 1.5, but Fallout 4, it's like 1.7 or even 1.8.
Whoa, so maybe 25, 30 hours for the main story, but potentially 200 plus hours to see and do everything else.
Exactly. The vast majority of playtime for many people happens after the main quest is done, engaging with the settlements, the DLCs, Radiant quests, just exploring and building.
Okay, so the game is built for the long haul. How does the crappy pipe gun fit into that?
Because that huge focus on the post-game, combined with the brand new, really central crafting and settlement systems, created a huge problem for Bethesda resource management.
Ah, keeping the player busy and needing materials for potentially hundreds of hours.
Precisely. They needed a way to slow down how quickly players could accumulate high-end crafting materials. If you could get tons of steel, screws, copper, gears, springs easily and early, you'd build everything you wanted quickly, max out your gear, and potentially get bored. You'd break the long-term economic loop.
So, the pipe gun isn't primarily intended as a weapon you use.
It's primarily intended as a weapon you scrap. It's a resource delivery mechanism disguised as a gun. It's the literal junk weapon.
Huh, okay. That actually makes a weird kind of sense.
Think about it. What do you get when you scrap a basic pipe gun? Steel, maybe some wood, okay, common enough. But then you invest in the scrapper perk, rank 2, rank 3.
And suddenly they start dropping screws, copper, aluminum, springs, sometimes even nuclear material on the higher end mods.
Exactly. All the really crucial high-demand components you need constantly for building settlements, upgrading armor, and tricking out your better weapons.
Steel for walls, copper for wires, screws for turrets, and weapon mods. Yeah, you need mountains of that stuff if you're serious about settlements.
Mountains. Building decent defenses for one settlement, maybe some water purifiers, power generators. That takes hundreds, maybe thousands of units of steel, screws, copper over time. If high-level enemies only dropped, say, combat rifles or laser guns.
You wouldn't scrap those. You'd keep them, use them, maybe sell them. They have inherent value as weapons.
Right. But the pipe gun, it's deliberately designed to be so mediocre in combat, especially past the very early game, that scrapping it is almost always the better option. It provides this constant, reliable, disposable stream of essential crafting components.
So it's sheer abundance. The thing everyone hates is actually the point, to fuel the crafting grind.
That seems to be the core design rationale. It keeps the resource economy ticking over. It subtly encourages you to invest in the scrapper perk. It maintains that haves and have-nots theme. The NPCs are stuck using this junk, while you, the player, are constantly processing this junk into useful materials.
It keeps you engaged in that loop, preventing you from just hitting endgame resource levels too quickly and running out of things to strive for in that massive 200-hour playtime.
Exactly. It acts as an economic governor, slowing things down, making sure the resource grind remains relevant for much, much longer. Without the pipe gun's constant influx of basic materials, the whole settlement and deep crafting system might collapse or become trivial too early.
Wow, okay. That reframes the whole thing. It's not bad design. It's just design focused on a different goal, resource supply, not combat viability.
Pretty much. But, and this is the huge but, this entire brilliant economic purpose hinges on one massive thing that Fallout 4 controversially removed from the previous games.
Let me guess. Weapon degradation, durability.
Bingo. The missing durability system. This is what countless players point to. If Fallout 4 had just kept weapon repair from Fallout 3 and New Vegas, the pipe gun paradox would likely evaporate.
How so? How does durability fix the pipe gun hate?
It creates a clear, practical reason to need pipe guns, even late game. Think about it. In a system with durability, your fancy pre-war weapons, your assault rifle, your plasma caster would be powerful, yes, but they'd wear down.
And repairing them would require specific, maybe rare parts, or another identical weapon.
Exactly. Finding the parts or finding a duplicate to cannibalize would be hard. Maintaining that high-end gear would be a constant struggle, a resource drain. Those guns would be treasures you'd use carefully.
Okay, so where do pipe guns fit in?
Pipe guns, being made of simple scrap, would also break, probably really easily.
Okay.
But the key difference is they'd be incredibly easy to repair.
Because you repair them with more scrap, like the steel and screws you get from scrapping other pipe guns.
Precisely. You keep your pipe gun functional using the most common junk imaginable, stuff you find literally everywhere. So imagine your awesome laser rifle is about to break. You're miles from a workbench, and you're facing down a horde of ghouls.
You'd pull out your trusty, easily maintained, if kind of weak, pipe gun to finish the fight without risking your prized possession.
Yes. It gives the pipe gun a vital niche. The reliable, cheap, field repairable backup weapon. The gun you use when you can't afford to break your good stuff. It creates a meaningful choice and a reason for pipe guns to exist alongside better weapons.
Bethesda took out durability.
They took out durability, so that entire gameplay loop vanished. The indestructible 10mm pistol you start with is always better and never breaks. The pipe gun loses its niche as the easily repairable option because nothing needs repairing.
Leaving its only real value as scrap fodder.
Exactly. The pipe gun feels like a weapon designed for a system, durability and repair, that ultimately got cut from the game, leaving it as this weird, annoying artifact that only serves the crafting economy, much to the player's frustration.
Okay, let's take all this theory, the lore justification, the economic necessity, the mechanical failures, and ground it in a place every Fallout 4 player knows intimately. Probably too intimately.
Oh, you must mean the lovely, scenic Corvega assembly plant in Lexington.
The very same. At the target for the first step. That early Minutemen quest where Preston sends you to clear it out. It's like the perfect microcosm of everything we've been talking about.
It really is. Corvega is basically Raider Central for the early game. It's a huge location designed by guys like Nathan Perkypile and Jeff Brown to be a major challenge, and it is fortified.
Yeah, it's not just a couple of shacks. There are, what, like 40-plus raiders crawling all over that place? Plus, automated turrets, spotlights. They've clearly put some effort into holding it. Shows organization.
Definitely. They're maintaining complex machinery, coordinating defenses. This isn't just a random gang. They have some level of structure.
But here's the kicker. The massive, glaring irony. What is the Corvega assembly plant?
A pre-war car factory. A place that should be an absolute gold mine of scrap metal, components, maybe even salvageable tech.
Exactly. The sources point out that if you just clear the place, you can loot something like 99 aluminum, nearly 300 steel bars, tons of cloth. They are literally swimming in the exact high-quality materials needed to make better gear.
Or at least to seriously upgrade the gear they have. They can keep laser turrets running, which need circuitry and power, but they can't slap together something better than a basic pipe rifle for their foot soldiers.
It just doesn't track logistically. A group that organized, sitting on that much raw material, should be fielding better equipment than the random scavengers out in the wastes.
And the location itself reflects this disconnect. You find really valuable stuff there, the repair bobblehead, which is awesome, a mini nuke for Fat Man launchers, even a power armor station implies they have some technical know-how.
Yet the rank-and-file guys attacking you are almost all rocking
Pipe guns.
Yeah.
Maybe the occasional shotgun or hunting rifle, but overwhelmingly, it's pipe weapons. The high-value static loot in the environment feels completely separate from the actual gear used by the inhabitants.
And this whole contradiction is perfectly embodied by the boss of the place, right, Jared?
Jared. The first major named raider boss you're sent after as the newly minted general of the Minutemen. Your first real test. And his signature weapon is
a slightly modded pipe pistol, probably one you could have made yourself back at level 3. It's underwhelming, to say the least.
It totally deflates the moment. You fight through this huge factory, take down his lieutenants, finally confront the leader, and he's using the same starter-level trash weapon. It makes him feel less like a serious threat and more like just another dude with a bad gun.
His backstory, found in his terminal entries, is actually pretty wild and dark, isn't it? Tries to explain things, maybe?
It does, yeah. And the lore there is genuinely good, quite tragic. Turns out Jared was abducted by raiders as a kid, and Mama Murphy, the psychic from Concord, actually gave him a prophecy way back then, basically saying he was destined to become a monster.
Whoa, seriously?
Yeah, and he became obsessed with it. His terminal logs show he's desperately trying to replicate Mama Murphy's clairvoyance, trying to get visions by megadosing on chems. He's more focused on his mad science experiments and trying to gain psychic powers to control the Commonwealth than on, actually arming his gang properly or fortifying the factory effectively.
So his priorities are completely screwed up because of this prophecy and his chem addiction. He's neglecting practical matters for mystical ones.
Exactly. It's fantastic character writing, honestly.
Oh.
Really dark, explains his operational incompetence in a twisted way.
But then he drops a pipe pistol.
And the whole impact just fizzles. The narrative is complex, tragic, interesting, and the gameplay reward is the most common, boring item imaginable. The dissonance is huge.
It feels like the game's economic need for early bosses to drop low-tier loot completely trampled over what would have made narrative sense for this specific character in this specific resource-rich location.
Precisely. Jared should have had something unique, maybe a heavily modified chem-injecting weapon, something reflecting his obsession. But nope, pipe pistol.
Yeah.
Because the leveled list demanded it. It's a prime example of this system undermining the story.
Okay, so we've established the pipe gun is mostly hated, mechanically flawed, immersion breaking, but maybe serves a necessary, if annoying, economic purpose. But does it ever become genuinely useful again, like late game? Is there any reason a high-level character might actually keep one?
Surprisingly.
Yes.
But only under very specific circumstances, usually involving the random legendary effects you can get on weapons.
Ah, the legendaries. Because pipe guns are so common, you probably get more legendary pipe guns than anything else, right?
Exactly. Especially early to mid-game, they're your most frequent source of those powerful legendary prefixes. And sometimes, a good prefix on a bad gun can still be pretty damn effective.
Like what? Give us an example.
The explosive legendary effect. An explosive pipe pistol or rifle, especially if you mod it to be fully automatic. It's surprisingly potent.
Really? Even with the low base damage?
Yeah, because the damage isn't coming from the bullet itself, it's coming from the secondary area effect explosion. Each hit causes splash damage. So if you're spraying cheap .38 rounds rapidly, you're causing a ton of small explosions. It becomes this incredibly ammo-efficient crowd control weapon.
Kind of like the spray and pray submachine gun, but fueled by practically free ammo?
Exactly. It's a poor man's explosive weapon, but it gets the job done surprisingly well against groups or large targets where you can land lots of hits.
Okay, that's one niche. Any others where a legendary effect saves the pipe gun?
The kneecapper effect. This one is maybe even more valuable late game, especially against dangerous melee enemies.
Kneecapper. That has a chance to cripple the target's legs, right?
Yep. So imagine a kneecapper pop rifle, modded for full auto, spitting out those cheap .38s. You're not trying to kill that charging Deathclaw or Behemoth with the bullet's pathetic damage. You're just hosing it down, hoping for the kneecapper effect to proc.
And once it does, their legs are crippled, they collapse or slow way down.
And they're suddenly way less threatening. It turns the pipe gun into a dedicated panic button, or a control tool. You spray until they fall down, then switch to your real damage weapon to finish them off safely. It neutralizes fast, scary threats using the cheapest ammo possible.
That's actually pretty smart metagaming, using the weapon's high rate of fire and cheap ammo purely as a delivery system for a powerful status effect.
Exactly. The base weapon stats become almost irrelevant. It's all about the legendary prefix.
Okay, and there was one more specific case, mainly for people playing on the hardest difficulty.
Ah, yes. Survival mode players. They have a very different relationship with the pipe bolt action rifle.
Why is that? Is it suddenly amazing in survival?
Not amazing damage-wise, no.
Yeah.
But in survival mode, carry weight is king. You're severely limited in what you can lug around. And a fully modded hunting rifle, especially .50 or Cal one, can weigh a lot, like close to 20 pounds sometimes.
Okay, yeah, that's a huge chunk of your inventory.
But a plate bolt action rifle, even modded for .50 cal, it weighs significantly less, maybe 5 to 7 pounds. It still does decent damage as a sniper rifle, maybe not quite as much as the hunting rifle, but the weight difference is enormous.
So for a survival player who wants a backup sniper rifle but can't afford the weight of a proper one, the pipe bolt action becomes appealing purely because it's so light.
Precisely. Saving 10-15 pounds of carry weight can be absolutely crucial in survival. In that specific context, the pipe bolt action's lightness becomes its primary advantage, overriding its slightly lower damage. It's a niche, but a valid one.
Okay, so there are a few edge cases where they aren't total trash, given all this. The good ideas, the bad execution, the weird niches. What do players suggest to actually fix the pipe gun problem for future games, or even in mods?
Well, the community has come up with some pretty solid ideas. The most common fix, especially in mods, tackles the pacing issue head on.
How do they do that?
They often tweak the starting gear. Maybe they lock the 10mm pistol behind a quest, or make 10mm ammo incredibly scarce for the first, say, 10 or 20 levels.
Ah, so you have to rely on pipe guns and .38 ammo early on, whether you like it or not.
Exactly. It forces that intended early game scarcity that the base game kind of undermines by giving you good guns too quickly. It makes the pipe gun feel like a necessary survival tool at the start, not just instant vendor trash.
Makes sense. What about fixing the guns themselves? The look, the feel, the mechanics?
Big consensus there is. More variety and visual progression. People point to missed opportunities, like that cranky shotgun concept art. A pipe shotgun seems like a no-brainer for makeshift weapons, yet it's not in the game.
Yeah, a simple single or double barrel pipe shotgun feels very plausible.
Totally. And beyond just new types, the existing ones need to look better as you mod them. Like we said before, if you invest heavily in perks and materials, your high-tier pipe gun shouldn't still look like rusty garbage. It should look like a well-crafted piece of equipment, maybe using cleaner metal, better stocks. Show the player skill progression visually.
Let the weapon evolve aesthetically with your crafting ability. I like that.
And finally, give them a real mechanical niche, especially since durability's gone. Some sources suggest a dedicated late-game perk. Maybe something like that plumber perk that was mentioned for Fallout 76 at some point.
What would that do?
The idea is a perk that lets you super upgrade pipe weapons, pushing their stats to rival proper manufactured guns. But, and here's the key, maybe it comes with significant risks.
Risks? Like what?
Maybe increased recoil, a chance for the gun to jam or even break catastrophically, like a temporary durability system just for them. Maybe even inflict minor damage back on the shooter occasionally. High risk, high reward.
So it validates sticking with the pipe gun aesthetic into the endgame, but makes it a distinct, dangerous playstyle choice, not just objectively worse than using a combat rifle.
Exactly. It gives them a unique identity beyond just being early game fodder or scrap material. It fulfills that makeshift but potentially deadly fantasy. Hashtag tag after retro.
Man, okay. The pipe gun. It really is a fascinating mess, isn't it? A concept that is so right for the world, so necessary for the scavenging and crafting loop.
Absolutely vital for the world building, that idea of the have-nots making do. And as we discussed, probably critical for Fallout 4's specific economic balance and long-term resource grind. It serves a purpose.
But just executed so poorly in other ways. The relentless oversaturation, the immersion-breaking mechanics, the ugliness, and crucially, the hole left by removing weapon degradation.
Yeah, that missing durability system really feels like the ghost haunting the pipe gun. It explains so much of the frustration. Its brilliance as a concept was just completely undermined by how it actually ended up playing in the final game. Designed to be scrapped, and players hated finding it but scrapped it anyway.
It really makes you think, though. Looking forward maybe to the next Fallout game, should they lean into this concept even more?
How do you mean?
Like, what if pre-war weapons were truly rare? Like, legendary items found only in specific, dangerous locations, incredibly hard to maintain. And your main arsenal throughout the game had to be built up from these improvised, heavily modded scrap weapons.
So making pipe guns, or whatever the equivalent is, the core weapon system, and forcing late-game power to come from radical, maybe risky crafting and modding, instead of just finding better pre-war tech or relying solely on random legendary drops.
Yeah. Embrace the scrap. Make the progression about mastering the makeshift, not just finding pristine relics. Would that finally make these kinds of weapons feel cool and rewarding instead of like a constant disappointment?
That's a really interesting thought. If they brought back durability, really committed to deep transformative crafting for improvised weapons, maybe with those high-risk elements, they could finally realize the potential that the Fallout 4 pipe gun only hinted at. Or they could just give us mountains of rusty pipes again.
Something to chew on next time you find one cluttering up your inventory. All right, you've been deep diving with us. Thanks for tuning in.
Catch you on the next one.
Now moving on to something a little different.
Yeah, definitely a change of pace. From, the vastness of space or whatever we were just discussing, right down to the nitty-gritty of, well, wasteland capitalism in Fallout 4. It's stable, yet somehow completely bonkers.
I know, right? And hey, I really hope you folks watching are digging these new deep dive videos, because this is for everyone who's ever built a settlement, looked at that trading post, and just thought, why? Why did I sink all those damn perks into charisma for this?
Yeah, it's classic Bethesda, isn't it?
Yeah.
They give you this amazingly complex settlement system, this promise of rebuilding civilization brick by brick.
Yeah,
But then some core mechanics, like actually making money from it all, seem so underwhelming or just plain broken. A lot of players just write it off.
totally. So our mission, should we choose to accept it, is to crack that code. We're going to zero in on how Fallout 4 wealth really works.
Okay.
Two main things. First, that ridiculously low passive income cap that just throttles your settlement's earning potential. It's kind of insulting, actually.
Right. It really is. The 50 cap ceiling, as we're calling it.
Exactly. And second, how to completely game the active bartering system. We're talking clothes, chems, and a frankly alarming amount of purified water.
Right. We've been digging through like tons of player accounts, Reddit threads, Q&As, trying to synthesize it all. How do you actually get rich in the Commonwealth? It's not always intuitive.
Prepare yourselves. It's time to understand the bizarre reality of the 50 cap ceiling and beyond. Okay, let's hit that core confusion first.
Yeah.
The shops. You open the workshop menu, you see like a basic general store, then a better one, then the fancy one, tier 1, 2, 3. And the prices are different. Like a basic bar is 300 caps, but the fancy tier 3 restaurant is 500. Why? Are we just paying for looks, or is there an actual mechanic there? What gives?
No, it's not just cosmetic. The higher price does mean something. Those tier 3 shops, the expensive ones, they give a better base happiness boost, which is nice.
Okay, happiness, sure. But the caps.
And crucially, yeah, the caps. Only those tier 3 shops contribute fully to hitting that maximum passive income limit for the settlement. They cost more because they're sort of the final upgrade for that economic engine you're trying to build.
Right, right. But you can't just build them straight away, can you? Like if I'm fresh out of the vault with Charisma 3, I'm locked out.
Oh, absolutely locked out. And this is where the game really makes you invest, maybe even traps you a bit early on. You need to dump precious perk points into specific things to unlock tier 3.
Okay, what are we talking?
You need a base charisma score, got to get it up to at least 6.
Okay.
You need rank 2 in cap collector. That's the perk specifically for bartering and shop stuff.
Makes sense.
And the big one for settlement builders, you need local leader rank 2. That's the perk that unlocks building the advanced stores and setting up supply lines, which we'll get to.
Wow, okay. Charisma 6, cap collector 2, local leader 2. That's what, like 4 perk points minimum, assuming you start with enough charisma, plus the points to get charisma to 6 if you didn't start there.
Yeah, it's a hefty investment. You're definitely sacrificing points you could put into, not dying. Combat skills, crafting, whatever.
All right, so say I do it, I make the sacrifice, I spend maybe 6, 7, maybe even 10 levels worth of perks. I spend the 500 caps per shop. What riches await me? What's the glorious passive income?
And here's where the balloon pops. It's kind of sad, really. After all that effort, the system has a hard-coded limit.
Okay.
Your settlements, they can generate a maximum of just 50 caps per day, passively.
50 FIFTY caps per day.
Per day, per settlement. That's the ceiling.
That's nothing. 50 caps, that barely covers the cost of the ammo I use clearing the place out. Wow, that's insulting low for that kind of investor.
It really is. And the way you actually reach that pathetic maximum is almost embarrassingly simple. You don't need some huge market square with 10 different stalls.
Oh.
Nope, you hit the full 50 caps a day max just by building 2 level 3 merchant stands. Any type.
Just 2.
It's 2. A level 3 clinic and a level 3 weapon stand. Boom, 50 caps. 2 level 3 general stores, 50 caps. A bar and an armor shop, 50 caps.
So building more than 2 level 3 shops does absolutely nothing for passive income.
0. Nada. Zilch.
Yeah.
Anything beyond 2 is purely for having access to different vendor inventories, maybe getting a specific tier 4 vendor placed, or just, making your town look nice. But for pure passive caps, 2 is the magic number.
Okay, well, that confirms what a lot of players figured out the hard way. Building 10 shops in Sanctuary thinking you're going to make bank is just a waste of resources.
Yeah.
Now, what about the timing? How fast is a game day? Someone mentioned it's about an hour of real time.
Roughly, yeah. If you're actively playing, moving around, triggering cell loads, it seems to track around an hour of real play time per in-game day. So you're making 50 caps per real-world hour per settlement that's maxed out.
Right. So let's play optimization lunatic for a second. Like the sources mentioned, some people do.
Okay, let's go there.
There are, 37 settlements in the base game plus DLCs?
Around that, yeah. 37 potential settlement locations.
So if some absolute madman actually built 2 Tier 3 shops in every single one of those 37 settlements,
Uh-huh.
that's 74 Tier 3 shops total they could theoretically generate. 37 times 50. 850 caps per game day across the entire network.
Theoretically, yes.
Oh.
1,850 caps per day, passively generated across the Commonwealth.
Okay, 1850 sounds, looks pathetic, but hang on. That requires an absolutely insane amount of time and resources just building those 74 shops. That's got to be dozens, maybe hundreds of hours.
Oh, easily. The material grind alone would be monumental, not to mention assigning settlers to all of them.
And B, you don't just get those 1,850 caps beamed into your Pip-Boy, right? You have to physically go to each settlement's workshop and collect the caps.
Bingo. That's the other killer. The caps just accumulate in the specific workshop of the settlement that earned them. They don't go into some central bank account. They don't even notify you.
Oh, come on. Seriously. If you ignore Sanctuary for 10 game days, there might be 500 caps sitting in that workbench. But you have to fast travel there, walk up to the bench, open the inventory, and take them. Multiply that by 37 settlements.
Yeah, no thanks. That sounds like the most tedious paper route in history.
Exactly. And that's why most players conclude the shops are just terrible for cap generation alone. The hassle factor is immense for such a tiny return.
Let's really drive this home with the ROI, the return on investment. You mentioned how bad it is.
Okay, let's break it down. Forget the perk investment for a second, just the shop cost. A Tier 3 shop is 500 caps.
Right.
Some player testing suggested a single shop might contribute maybe 10 caps per game week to that 50 cap pool. Maybe. It's slow.
10 caps a
But
week
maybe.
per shop contributing to the pool. Oh my God.
Yeah, so if it makes, let's be generous, say 25 caps a day total from 2 shops, if one shop is contributing maybe half that, call it roughly 100 caps a week per shop's contribution. Just spitballing.
No, wait, the source said 10 caps a week. That's even worse. Let's use that. If a shop makes 10 caps a week towards that pool,
Okay, 10 caps a week.
it costs 500 caps to build, so it takes 50 game weeks just to pay back the initial 500 cap cost of the building itself.
50 weeks. That's almost a full in-game year.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's before factoring in the cost and time and perks of even getting the ability to build the damn thing. Cap Collector 2, Local Leader 2.
So the takeaway is crystal clear. Do not build shops to get rich passively.
Absolutely not. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's barely a get-rich-slow scheme. It's more like a long-term infrastructure project with negligible financial returns.
So why bother building them at all then if the passive income is such a joke?
Utility and morale. That's the real value. They aren't cash cows. They're quality-of-life improvements.
How so?
1, convenient place to sell your junk. You haul back tons of loot. You need places to offload it. Having vendors in your own base is super handy.
Okay, true. Beats hauling it all to Diamond City every time.
2, reliable source for buying stuff. Need ammo. Specific crafting components like ballistic fiber or circuits. A clinic for Radaway. Having them on site saves you trips.
Right, convenience factor.
And 3, settlement happiness. This is a big one. Every clinic or bar you build provides a significant flat bonus to settlement happiness.
Ah, okay. That makes more sense. People build them to stop settlers complaining.
Pretty much. One source mentioned that a Tier 3 shop gives the same happiness boost as assigning a dog to the settlement. Like plus 10 happiness. That's substantial.
So you're buying morale and convenience, not profit.
Exactly. You build that fancy 500 cap restaurant, not for the pathetic trickle of caps it generates, but because it makes your settlers happy and gives you a place to sell off that mountain of pipe pistols and raider armor you inevitably collect.
You're basically setting up cash registers for your stuff. They're the customer service desk for your own looting business.
That's a perfect way to put it. If you want real money, you ditch the passive dream entirely and focus on becoming an active market manipulator.
Which involves getting high and dressing up.
Pretty much. Get ready for charisma stacking, chems, and the power of clean water. That's where the real caps are.
Okay, pivot time. Forget the passive income trickle. Let's talk active market domination. Selling our crap. When I walk up to Trash Can Carla or Arturo or whoever, what actually determines the prices I get?
Okay, good news here. It simplifies things a lot. Basically, all standard traders, they offer the same base prices for items. Doesn't matter if they're in a big city or wandering the roads.
Seriously. So Myrna in Diamond City doesn't inherently give better prices than some random caravan guard.
Nope. The base value is the base value. What changes the price you actually pay or receive is just one thing. Your character's current charisma score. That's it.
Ah, okay. So it all comes down to charisma. which means we need to pump that number as high as humanly possible before we start selling. Time to put on the deal-making outfit.
Exactly. Ditch the combat armor. It's time for high fashion. Let's break down the optimal selling gear. Every point counts here.
Lay it on me. What's the basic stack?
All right, the easy stuff first. Any clean suit or dress you find. That's +2 charisma right there.
Nice.
Slap on a hat, usually +1 charisma.
Yeah.
Things like trilby hats, formal hats,
Gotcha.
and then glasses. Most pairs give another +1. So suit, hat, glasses, boom, that's +4 charisma just from basic apparel you can find pretty easily.
Okay, +4 is a good start, but I remember reading about some special items. Quest rewards, maybe? That give even bigger boosts. So.
Yeah, if you know where to look or get lucky with quests early on, you can snag some legendary charisma gear. Reginald's suit, Agatha's dress.
Yeah.
Those give a whopping +3 charisma each.
+3. Damn. So with one of those, plus a hat and glasses, you're already at +5 charisma from gear alone.
Exactly. Huge advantage. But the gear is just the foundation.
Yeah.
The real game changer. The secret sauce? Thames.
Oh, yes. Performance enhancers for capitalism.
You got to pregame your bartering sessions. Start small. Any alcohol gives you a temporary +1 charisma. Beer, wine, whiskey, whatever. Chug one down.
Okay, easy enough. +1, but the big one.
The absolute cornerstone. The non-negotiable item for any serious wasteland mogul. Great mentats.
Great mentats. The purple pills of persuasion.
That's the one. Pop a great mentats, and you get a massive temporary +5 charisma bonus. And the best part, it stacks with the alcohol and the gear.
Holy crap, +5. So, let's put the picture. I'm wearing Reginald's suit, +3, a formal hat, +1, fashionable glasses, +1. I've had a beer, +1, and I just popped great mentats, +5, +11 charisma on top of my base stat.
That's the power stack. You walk into that shop looking dapper, slightly tipsy, and mentally overclocked on grape goodness. You are the most persuasive person in the room, guaranteed. Even if you're just there to sell, like, 300 Dest fans.
That sounds amazing. Like, I could probably convince them to give me stuff for free with that much charisma.
Ah, well, about that. This leads us to a really important and often misunderstood mechanic. The charisma soft cap for bartering.
Soft cap. Okay, explain this slowly. This sounds like where things get tricky.
It is. Data miners figured this out. The actual effect of your charisma score on buy-sell prices. Yeah. It stops improving once your charisma hits 16.
Wait, 16. So in that example, if my base charisma was, say, 6, and I stacked all that gear and chems to get +11, putting me at 17 total, that extra point is useless for bartering.
Exactly. Getting your charisma to 17, 18, 20, even 30 through buffs, it won't make vendors give you better prices than you got at 16 charisma. The benefit caps out.
Okay, that's counterintuitive, but good to know. Aim for 16 effective charisma, don't waste resources going higher.
But there's another layer, a huge optimization layer.
Oh gosh, there.
That 16 charisma cap. That only applies if you haven't invested in the other bartering boosters. Specifically, the Cap Collector perk, finding all the tales of a Junktown Jerky vendor magazines and grabbing the barter bobblehead.
Okay, so what happens if I have maxed all those out? Like Cap Collector rank 3, all the magazines, the bobblehead.
If you've collected all those permanent, non-charisma stat barter improvements, the charisma score you need to hit the absolute best possible prices drops dramatically.
Oh, how dramatic.
Down to just 10.
10? Are you serious?
Dead serious. If you have all the perks and collectibles, you only need an effective charisma of 10 to achieve the exact same best possible prices as someone with 16 charisma, but none of the perks mags.
That's insane. That changes everything. So all that effort stacking charisma super high is wasted if you've also been collecting the magazines and perks.
Pretty much. It's a classic Bethesda knowledge check.
Yeah.
The game doesn't tell you this explicitly. But yeah, the truly optimized trader build focuses on getting those permanent boosts, perks, mags, bobblehead, and then only needs to hit 10 charisma with gear chems for maximal effect.
Wow, okay. Mind blown. So aim for 10 charisma if you're a completionist collector, otherwise aim for 16. That saves a lot of great mentats.
Or lets you use lower charisma gear or rely less on alcohol. Yeah, it's peak efficiency.
But even at peak efficiency, hitting that magic 10 or 16, there are still limits, right? You mentioned hard-coded price floors and ceilings. You never get a perfect deal.
Never. This is the wasteland tax, you could call it. The game fundamentally prevents you from perfect bartering. There's a hard limit on how high you can sell and how low you can buy.
What are the numbers?
The absolute maximum price you can ever sell an item for is 80% of its listed base value.
80%, okay.
And conversely, the absolute minimum price you could ever buy an item for is 120% of its listed base value.
Ouch. So there's always at least a 20% loss selling. And a 20% markup buying, even if you're the most charismatic chem-fueled salesperson ever.
Always. That 81-20 ratio is the best you can possibly achieve.
Let's use an example.
Yeah.
Molotov cocktail. Base
Yeah.
value 20 caps.
Good example. Okay, base value 20. If you have hit your optimal charisma, 10 with perks mags or 16 without, you will sell that Molotov for 16 caps, exactly 80%. If
Yeah.
you want to buy that same Molotov back, you will pay 24 caps, exactly 120%. That 8 cap difference, locked in, unbeatable.
That perfectly explains that thing people mentioned about quest discounts, like helping Connie Abernathy and her prices seemingly don't change.
Exactly. If that player already had their charisma optimized to hit the 81-20 limit before doing your quest,
Uh-huh.
then Connie's discount might technically be applied by the game logic, but it can't push the price beyond that 81-20 hard limit.
Uh-huh.
So if you were already buying at 120%, her discount does nothing. If you were already selling at 80%, her goodwill bonus does nothing. You've hit the ceiling floor.
Man, the game really doesn't want you to feel like you're truly mastering the market, does it? Always that built-in loss.
It keeps the economy functioning, arguably. Prevents infinite money loops too easily.
Okay, so we know how to get the best possible prices, even with the limits. Now,
Yeah.
what should we be selling? What's the optimal trade good to exploit this system?
One item stands head and shoulders above the rest. The undisputed king of the Commonwealth economy.
Let me guess. Purified water.
Purified water, absolutely.
Yeah.
Why? It's weightless. It has a decent base value, 20 caps, same as our Molotov. And most importantly, you can generate it passively, automatically, and in massive quantities.
This is where settlements actually do help the active economy. Not by giving you 50 caps, but by being water factories.
Precisely. The strategy is simple. Build water purifiers. Lots of them. Especially the big industrial ones if you have the power and resources.
Or even just the basic hand pumps.
Yeah, if you don't want to deal with generators, just spamming dozens and dozens of the manual water pumps works too. They produce less individually, but they add up and need no electricity.
And Sanctuary Hills is prime real estate for this.
It's the go-to. That big river running through it gives you enormous placement potential. Players report getting water production up to 600 plus units per day there.
600 bottles of purified water appearing in your workshop every day.
Yep, just sitting there waiting for you to grab them and go sell. It's the closest thing to printing money in the game.
Okay, water is king. What are the alternatives if, you don't want to be Aquaman?
Ammo's a good one, specifically unused ammo.
Like all that .38 ammo you get from raiders early on?
Exactly. If you upgrade past pipe weapons quickly, you end up with thousands of rounds of .38 just sitting there. It's weightless, sells for a cap or two each, it adds up. Turn trash ammo into cash.
Makes sense. What about chems? You mentioned jet earlier.
Jet is fantastic. It's high value, weightless, and crucially, it's craftable from relatively common components, plastic and fertilizer.
Fertilizer, that's where the Brahmin troughs come in.
You got it. Build Brahmin fertilizer troughs in your settlements. Collect the fertilizer, which is shared via supply lines for crafting, unlike the final product.
Oh, okay.
Then use that networked fertilizer plus some plastic at any chem station to crank out jet. Pop your great mentats, sell the jet immediately. Very efficient profit loop.
Nice. So water, ammo, jet, anything else worth mentioning? The junk tax items?
You're basically selling food you're never going to eat. All that pre-war radiated stuff like cram, Instamash, sugar bombs.
Stuff you replace with cook food or stim packs pretty fast.
Exactly. Its only real value becomes vendor fodder. You use it to soak up some of that 120% buy price when you're buying something expensive from a vendor. Sell them a pile of cram to get a few extra caps off their price. It's not glamorous, but it helps chip away at that markup.
All right, so we've got our product, probably hundreds of bottles of purified water. We've got our method grape mentats and a sharp suit to hit that 10 or 16 charisma sweet spot. But now, logistics. If I show up at Drumlin Diner with 600 waters, Trudy's going to run out of caps after, 30 bottles.
Exactly. A single vendor, even a good one, doesn't have enough cash on hand to absorb a major haul. You need market depth. You need multiple vendors you can hit in sequence.
Okay, and this is where understanding vendor cap pools gets important. We need to bust a myth first, right? The idea that all settlement shops share one big pot of money if they're linked.
Yeah, that's a common misconception that trips people up. Linking settlements with supply lines does not create one giant shared cap pool for all the vendors across your network.
It doesn't. So my weapon shops in Sanctuary, Abernathy, and Red Rocket don't all draw from the same well.
Not entirely. It's more nuanced. Generic settlers assigned to shops of the same type within a linked network do share their cap inventory.
Okay, Break that down. Generic settlers, same type.
So if you build a standard Tier 3 weapon shop in Sanctuary and assign Joe Settler A to it, and another standard Tier 3 weapon shop in Red Rocket and assign Jane Settler B to it, and those places are linked, their cap pools are effectively merged.
Ah,
If you sell a ton of stuff to Joe in Sanctuary and drain his caps, Jane in Red Rocket will also have no caps left for weapons. You can only clear out that type of shop once per network cycle.
okay, so that stops you from just building 10 weapon shops and draining them all instantly, but different types of shops are separate.
Correct. Your weapon shop network pool is separate from your clinic network pool, which is separate from your general store network pool.
Got it. And Tier 3 shops generally have more caps to start with than Tier 1 or 2.
Definitely. A freshly restocked Tier 3 shop usually holds somewhere between 700 and 800 caps.
Okay, that's a decent amount.
The clinics and weapon shops seem to consistently have the highest pools in that range. General stores, armor shops, bars tend to be lower, maybe more like 200 to 500 caps.
So, pro tip. When doing a selling run using your settlement network, hit the Tier 3 clinics and weapon shops first, as they can absorb the most water wealth before you have to move on.
Good strategy, yeah. But to really maximize how much you can sell in one go, without waiting days for vendors to restock, you need to look beyond your generic settlers. You need the elites.
Elites, you mean the special Tier 4 traders.
Exactly. And also the unique name settlers who live in specific locations. These are two categories with separate, often larger cap pools.
Okay, let's start with the Tier 4 folks. Smiling Larry, Riley the Scribe, Doc Anderson, the ones you find randomly.
Those are the ones. You usually find them through random encounters or sometimes specific unmarked quests or locations.
What makes them Tier 4? Why go through the hassle of finding them and recruiting them?
Two big reasons. First, when you assign them to the appropriate level 3 shop in one of your settlements, like Smiling Larry needs a level 3 weapon emporium, they offer unique, high-end inventory that generic settlers don't have. Smiling Larry sells amazing weapon mods and sometimes legendary weapons. Doc Anderson sells more advanced medical supplies. It's top-tier gear.
Okay, unique stock is cool. What about their caps?
That's the second bonus. They often have significantly larger cap pools than generic Tier 3 vendors. Smiling Larry, for example, is often cited as having 1,000 caps, or even more when he restocks.
1,000 caps. Okay, now we're talking. That's a vendor worth seeking out if you're routinely selling huge amounts of water or jet.
Definitely. Having a couple of Tier 4 traders set up makes your selling runs much more efficient. But they can be tricky to find and assign.
Right. What about the other group, the easier to find elites, the named locals?
This is a super important optimization that's easy to miss. Think about the named unique settlers who already live at certain farm settlements when you acquire them.
Like Connie at Abernathy Farm, June Warwick, Daniel Finch, Deidre at the Slog.
Exactly those people. The key thing is, these named NPCs, when they act as vendors in their home settlement, have their own completely separate cap pool from any generic settler shop you might build there.
Whoa, really? So at Abernathy Farm, I have Connie Abernathy selling general goods.
Right, with her own distinct cap pool.
And if I also build, say, a Tier 3 clinic and assign some random generic settler I recruited.
Then you have two independent vendors at Abernathy Farm, Connie and your clinic operator, each with their own caps, restocking on their own timer.
That's huge. That basically doubles the vendor capacity of those specific settlements instantly.
It does. It's like getting a free extra shot. So when planning your trade route, hitting settlements with unique named vendors should be a priority.
Which naturally leads to thinking about the major non-settlement hubs, too. Places with lots of vendors clustered together.
Diamond City Market, obviously. That's ground zero for selling.
How many separate vendors are there? Myrna, Percy, Arturo, Docson, the chem guy, Polly. 6. 7.
At least 6 major ones right in the market square, plus potentially others nearby, like the hairdresser or the surgeon who might buy certain things. And crucially, each one has a separate cap pool.
So you pop your grape mentats outside, then just do a lap, draining each one.
That's the efficient way. Then you've got Good Neighbor with Daisy, Kaylee Zero, Fred Allen, and Bunker Hill's another great hub with Deb and Kay, plus the bonus of caravan merchants often stopping there, adding even more potential buyers.
Running a circuit Diamond City, Good Neighbor, Bunker Hill seems like the fastest way to offload a massive amount of goods without waiting for resets.
Absolutely. Maximize that grape mentat duration.
Did the sources identify any specific non-settlement vendors who are particularly wealthy, like the richest merchants out there?
Yeah, there were a few standouts mentioned. If you had the Far Harbor DLC, Mitch up there apparently has close to 1,000 caps, around 974.
Okay, DLC counts. What about base game?
In the base game, Dr. Patricia over in Covenant was cited as having one of the highest consistent pools, around 748 caps. Generally, specialized vendors like doctors and weapon dealers in established towns tend to have more caps than general store owners.
Good to know. Prioritize the specialists in the big hubs.
Right.
Okay, we've covered where to sell and who to sell to. Let's circle back to the network that supposedly ties our empire together. Supply lines. We need to be crystal clear on what they actually do versus what people think they do.
Yeah, this is probably the single most misunderstood settlement mechanic. Okay, basics. You need local leader rank 1.
Got it.
You go into workshop mode, highlight a settler, has to be a generic one, not a named character like Preston or Sturgis, and you get an option to assign them a supply line to another settlement you control.
Great. And if I assign someone from Sanctuary TO Red Rocket, does that mean materials only flow one way? Do I need someone going from Red Rocket to Sanctuary too?
Nope, that's a common confusion. Once you establish the link in one direction, it's automatically two-way. The settler just becomes the designated runner for that route, linking the inventories virtually. Sanctuary to Red Rocket is the same as Red Rocket to Sanctuary in terms of shared resources.
Okay, two-way link.
Yeah.
And what exactly gets shared across that link?
This is the absolute key point. Supply lines allow junk items like steel, screws, adhesive, and raw resources like stored food and water to be virtually accessed across the network for crafting and building purposes only.
Only for crafting and building. Say it again for the people in the back.
Only for crafting and building. This is the infamous not a bank rule.
Explain what that means in practice.
It means the resources are shared virtually, not physically. You can be at the workbench in, say, Starlight Drive-In, and if it's connected to Sanctuary where you stored 500 steel, you can use that steel to build walls at Starlight. The crafting menu will show the combined total.
Okay, that's useful.
But T, you cannot walk up to the Starlight workbench, open its inventory, and physically withdraw the 500 steel that's actually stored back in Sanctuary.
Yeah.
It's not there physically. It's only available as a component within the crafting interface.
So for our Water Empire example, if Sanctuary is making 600 water a day and it's linked to the castle, I can't go to the castle's workbench and pull out those 600 bottles of water to sell.
Correct. You still have to physically fast travel back to Sanctuary, open the workshop there, take the actual purified water items into your inventory, and then go sell them.
Man, that really limits the utility of supply lines for traders. They're purely a convenience for builders and crafters, letting you access materials anywhere, but they do nothing to help consolidate sellable goods.
Exactly. Massive convenience for building your settlements, almost zero convenience for managing your trade goods inventory.
Okay. One last thing on supply lines. The happiness conflict. Someone mentioned avoiding them for settlements. You want to get to 100% happiness.
Yeah, that's a weird quirk noted by players chasing that achievement. Apparently, the settler, assigned to run the supply line, the provisioner, can sometimes negatively impact the happiness calculation of their home settlement, especially if it's an outbound route originating from that settlement.
How? Because they're technically away from the settlement?
Something like that. They might be considered unassigned to a happiness-generating job, or maybe the game flags them as unhappy while traveling, whatever the reason the advice is. If you're trying to max out happiness in a specific settlement, don't assign any supply lines leaving from that settlement. Have routes coming in, but keep its residents dedicated to local jobs.
Good tip for the achievement hunters. Wow, okay, the whole system is just layers of complexity and often frustration, which feels like a good time to mention the ultimate Fallout 4 vendor experience.
Oh God, the classic Todd Howard moment, as the outline called it. Accidental theft leading to instant death.
Yeah, you save a settlement, you're their hero, you've invested resources, and then you accidentally nudge E while looking at a Nuka-Cola on their counter instead of talking to them.
And suddenly the entire town, people you just saved, were trying to murder you. Yep, that's about right.
People mention it happening in Diamond City over a plastic pumpkin, or near Trudy's Diner over a water bottle. The line between interactive world item and owned item that triggers lethal force is razor thin and ridiculously unforgiving.
It absolutely shatters the immersion sometimes. You're the sole survivor, reshaping the wasteland, but touch the wrong coffee cup, and you're public enemy number one. Well, it's Fallout 4. That absurdity is part of the package, I guess.
Yeah.
Hashtag tag outro. All right, let's wrap this up. We've covered a lot of ground, from the depressing lows of passive income to the chem fuel highs of market manipulation. What's the final takeaway for mastering the Commonwealth economy?
It really boils down to a two-pronged strategy, doesn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Strategy 1. Manage your expectations for passive income. Set up the network, sure. Get local leader. Get cap collector enough to build 2 and only 2 level 3 shops in your settlements. Prioritize clinics and weapon shops for the slightly better cap pools.
Right. Except that this network will hit that 50 cap per day ceiling per settlement, and that's okay. Think of it as a very slow, very scattered emergency fund that you have to manually collect. It's not going to make you rich, but it's something.
Exactly. Then, strategy 2. Embrace active domination. This is where the real money is.
This is the hustle. Master the charisma stack. Remember the magic numbers. 10 effective charisma if you have all the perks magazines in the bobblehead. 16 effective charisma if you don't. Gear up, pop those great mentat, and maybe a beer.
Then, identify your cash crop. Purified water is king due to passive generation and zero weight. Jet is a great craftable alternative using networked fertilizer. Unused ammo is free money. Sell off that irradiated junk food.
Generate huge quantities of this stuff. Then execute the trade run efficiently.
Fast travel to your water farm, sanctuary, load up. Fast travel to a major hub. Diamond City, Good Neighbor, Bunker Hill. Pop your chems just before you start talking to vendors to maximize duration.
Then hit every single independent vendor in that hub. Myrna, Arturo, Percy, Daisy, KLE0, Connie Abernathy, if you're at her farm, draining each one's separate cap pool until your pockets are overflowing or the chems wear off. Rinse and repeat.
That's how you turn basic H2O or simple chems into thousands upon thousands of caps. Forget the 50 cap passive trickle. Active, optimized bartering is the path to wealth.
Which leads us to that final kind of funny, kind of bleak thought.
Yeah.
We spend all this in-game time building complex settlements, linking with supply lines, trying to bring order and civilization back to the wasteland, setting up laws, defenses, economies.
Right. Rebuilding America, one shantytown at a time.
And yet, the single most effective way to become fabulously wealthy in this recovering world, it's basically just hoarding basic resources like water and exploiting market mechanics with drugs and fancy clothes.
Yeah. It kind of says something, doesn't it? All that effort to rebuild and the ultimate currency, the purest form of wealth, isn't technology or pre-war money. It's a clean drink of water.
It really brings it back to basics. No matter how complex the world gets, survival, and maybe even wealth, often comes down to controlling the most fundamental necessity. Makes you think.
Indeed it does. Now go forth, farm that water, stack that charisma.
And don't forget your great mentets. Happy trading.